Hello. So it's been a while. There's me thinking I was going to do a video on the chair, um, on the appointment that I had, and I never got round to it. But anyway, I thought I'll quickly do a video now explaining exactly what happened. I'm trying to think when it was. Tuesday. That's it. It was Tuesday. Um, I had, what was it? Anyway, it's irrelevant. It's like, oh, what day was it? Oh, was it a Monday? Was it a Tuesday? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I had, yeah, it was a Tuesday. Yeah, like I said, doesn't matter. Anyway, patient transport picked me up nice and early. We got me there on time. Patient transport, by the way, is absolutely fantastic, and I would be lost without it. Um, you know, because of me being in my big chair and unable to get myself to these places, whether it's hospital appointments or anything like that. They are amazing, and they come and they take me. Occasionally, they get let down because they're busy, taking somebody else, and then if they're delayed or if they're stuck on, with transport with on the traffic, stuck in a traffic jam or something happens, then it has a ripple effect. So things happen, and then if they're late picking you up, then they phone ahead to the venue and they ask if this appointment can be slightly rescheduled. And of course, 9 times out of 10, the place will say, "Oh, can't do that," and then it gets cancelled. They then phone you to let you know, and then you have to have it rescheduled. Anyhow, Muggins here, went for my appointment. I got met by a guy that I've seen before, a very pleasant guy that works for this wheelchair services, and he's absolutely fantastic. And anyway, it was like, oh yeah, I remember you, lovely lady. He says, I remember because I fitted your headrest on, and how is it? And I was like, that's great. However, and then I explained about the appointment that I went to where we were late, and because we arrived late, I assumed patient transport had rung ahead and asked, and the place was like, yeah, it's fine. However, they were not, nobody phoned ahead, nobody did anything. And Muggins turned up with patient transport person, and the guy who was doing my appointment, he had a go at the patient transport because my appointment was at 11:30 and I arrived at 12. And then he had a go at me. Lovely, eh? And I just said, well, I've been waiting since 10 o'clock. So I thought it's nothing to do with me. I says, I've rang patient transport X amount of times to check they were still coming. Yeah, they're still coming, not a problem. And the guy just had the ump. He wasn't very professional. He tried rushing through my appointment, then refused for me to have another chair. He said there's nothing wrong with this one, even though the wheels at the front have got absolutely no tread on them. They've got no grip for out and about. They're absolutely useless. They're really unsafe on footpaths because they've got no grip. The back wheels are doing all the work, but even then they haven't got the grip for outdoors. They're more for indoors. And, and there's been times where I felt myself sliding along on footpaths, and it's been quite dangerous at times. And, when you're living with this out and about and you're using it all the time, it becomes a thing. Oh gosh, sorry. I knew I was going to yawn. When it becomes your legs, you need a chair that works perfectly well for you. And anyway, Muggins here was like, I'm not happy with it. I've told you I'm not happy with it. Anyway, he was like, I told you the steps that you needed. Did you do all the... Oh, yeah, we've got it here. Your referral for a new chair, an electric chair. And then he started asking me how I find my chair, and I was like, at first I said, well, this upper body part is okay. The seat that I'm sitting in, it's pretty good. It's the wheels. And then I thought, and then he says to me, I says the backrest was adjusted. And he was like, how do you find the back? Is it supportive? And I said, yeah, it's supportive. I need some cushioning though behind me. So maybe I'll have to look into getting like a support that's going to really get in and support my back, because I have got a slight lean with my right knee joint is twisted inwards, so my hips slightly pushed back, and then there's like a ripple effect in my back, and I have got issues with discs, and it's just that way I find myself going, especially when I'm coming back from nipping out and getting some bits, and fatigue sets in and I'm in a lot of pain, and I sort of go with my back how I feel comfortable. And I said I had a shed load of support cushions and things for my back, whatever feels most comfortable for me. I've been doing that for a long time. Now the chair that I've got for the home, I've got cushions there. They're all right, but I said the back for that, the chair itself is amazing. The seat is like really padded, and it's like a seat that you have for the car basically. And you feel like you're sitting in a really comfortable armchair, so there's a lot more support and padding. And he then examined the chair, started making notes, doing whatever from a technical term. And I was like, okay. Then he was asking about the armrests and how they were, how I found them. And I like the headrest. I mentioned that I mentioned about the wheels and how I find them, and he says, oh, to be honest, I could hear you squealing when you come in. And so he says, I know that they're not right. This is an old chair, technology's moved on. We've got something that I think will be perfect for you. And he went and brought it in from the office, and it was instantly, I just thought, oh my God. It had got the back to it, had the most thickest, comfiest looking seat back I've ever seen in my life. It's got a head support. It's got really comfy shaping to it. So it sort of supports you. So if you do happen to lean, you're supported. So anyway, he was taking measurements all over the place. He was like, what do you think? And then there's a lever that on the joystick, you pull it back. And when my legs and my bottom area, my hips, my lower back are really in so much pain, I literally can tilt the lever backwards and it will actually elevate, it will tip. And I'm like, bloody hell. So it'll recline back You know, so, and I can stretch out and then recline it back when I'm ready. So I was like, that's just a brilliant idea. And so he's put in for that and a few other things as well. It might be a bit of a wait, but at least I know it's coming. And the wheels on it are like monster truck ones. They're great big tread and really, really good. And I thought, oh, brilliant, just what I want. So it's called, I think, the Quickie Sunrise. It looks amazing. And so it's on my NHS prescription. So they're going to do me a new script and basically I'll have it in. Now I don't know whether I get to keep the chair that I've got as a backup spare kind of thing. I don't know whether they'll have that back. Because I know that some people have got like an older chair that they've had and they've still got it, that they use it for other things. So I don't know whether this one will go back to them and then they will, I don't know, sort of pimp it up a bit and then sell it on. Or they give them to people that have got conditions that need something safer indoors. I don't know. But if they need it back, they need it back, that's fine. I don't want to have like 1,000,001 chairs in my flat because I can't do it. But yeah, all I know is that I basically, I'm out of use for this chair and I need something better. And as your health deteriorates, things change. I'm having, so that's the news on that. And then I'm having a full body bone scan in a few weeks. So to see how my arthritis is and to get like a better, clearer picture over my bones and how they are and stuff. And I'm wondering if that's something I've had before. Because I know I have had at some point, I did have a scan of some description. And they were able to sort of do a really good picture of my toes and how they were and the joints and stuff. And I've never seen with such detail for that. And I've never had a copy of that, and I wish I had, but back then I didn't keep all of my medical notes, doctor's letters and all that sort of stuff. I didn't keep everything, just basic bits. But now, with me on my PIP and all my other things, and you need to fight for every little thing, I've got so much medical evidence that goes back, and I just want to keep it all together. So I know for future reference, you know, for anything. Plus, dare I say it, for when the next review is. Then you've got to start all over again with all your evidence and stuff, because at least then it will show how I am and, you know, a clear picture of from then to now and all that sort of stuff. I'm at the minute going through trying to find another new cleaner. My last one let me down. She's been putting things on Facebook, cleans like for random one-offs, deep cleans, luxury deep cleans, and it's like for a 5-bedroom, she wants 250 quid. I'm like, fucking hell. I mean, she was absolutely useless for here. She came Thursday, and there's a lot of areas she's missed. There was still dirt on the floor around where my dishwasher was. Bowls weren't moved where the cats would eat their food. A big box of Felix food that they have was never moved. So any crumbs and stuff behind it and that was still there. The cat trays were never moved and swept behind. So cat litter was basically just dust and bits that you can't help, that just seemed to go all over the place, was never rounded up. Areas weren't mopped. The bathroom, there's a cobweb in the windowsill that's never been touched. Kitchen window, there's soil that's never been swept up. Need I go on? It just goes on and on and on. She was here, she cleaned my flat in under an hour. She hoovered using my hoover, but she didn't take all the cushions off. So the cushions that you sit on, because I've got skin issues, I need them cleaning a lot of the time, because it's not the cats making a mess with fur and that, it's me and my skin. So, they need deep cleaning, and a lot of stuff was missed. She did my flat in under an hour, and I thought she was getting some bits together to clean something else, and she'd finished. Absolutely useless. And then she messaged me yesterday evening, 10:30 at night. Sorry, I'm not coming anymore. She said it was down to my cats and being allergic to them. I think I'm allergic to them. She's got cats herself, and her mum's got cats. Her mum's always had cats. So it just makes zero sense. So I don't know if she's seen my skin issues and had a bit of like a recoil in horror, or she's wanting to go for the more luxury cleans and leave the cheaper people, which I think so. But I think she's going to bite off more than she can chew, because I think, how many people realistically have got that kind of money to spend on a clean? A 2-bedroomed house was something like 150 for a clean, a deep clean, a luxury clean, rather than the £40 that I gave her. And she started off doing nearly 2 hours of work to start off with, and then she'd let me down a lot. When she did come, there'd be a lot she'd leave. And the last time she put, "Oh, you should have said something." And I says, "Well, I didn't like to. And I was going to speak about it when you come over." And I sent her photographs. I said, "These were taken after you'd gone. Do you call this clean? Because I certainly don't." And there's mould that I think is on the wet room floor where she's not touched it and not wiped it. Sort of slightly going on the wall, just under a bit of rail, if you like, for like a shelf that you sit all your bottles and things on. So it's around there where it's not really touched, and she's tickled. She cleaned my wet room with tissue, and I'm like, bloody hell. So I don't know, but I was umming and ahhing whether to get, well, I don't like to I feel like I'm being too fussy, am I being too picky, but if you can't do it yourself and you're paying someone to do the job and they're not doing a good job, what's the point? I want somebody that's going to do a decent job. So I've got somebody provisionally booked in. And then we'll see after that. But I just feel it's constant. They start off with good intentions and then they slack off. But we'll see. These ones, they do professional, businesses as well as homes. So we'll see. I know a few people that do businesses and stuff, and they've cleaned for me, and they slack off. So I've yet to find somebody. I mean, the early days, the only decent person I ever found was my friend that lived over the way from me, who actually cleaned in the village, and she was the only one to do a decent job. Then one of my cleaners that came, she was all right. But the trouble is though, she watered my plants all the time, and then they'd rot, and I'd be throwing them out. And I'd say, please don't water my plants, but it didn't make any difference. She still did it. So I'm sort of thinking, I've had a couple of decent ones, but apart from that, I've had a lot of people rip me off. I had one that would put music on. She'd come in the living room and she'd sweep around, and then she'd mop, but she'd mop like with a heavy full of water mop. So I couldn't get up off the sofa to go and check on her and stuff. And then she'd hardly do anything for the money. And that's how she was. She never touched the wet room properly. There was loads of hairs and just stuff in general everywhere. So I gave her the push. And I just feel every time I get somewhere with somebody, here we go again. But at the minute, I want to get my bedroom sorted out because I want to be back off my sofa. I mean, I've been sleeping. My sofa is like literally like a bed. It's super comfy. But at some point, I want to get back in my bedroom. I do want to get back in my bedroom. I've got furniture still to get. A TV to get. At some point, get decorated. And sort things out. And that's what I want to do, is get my room ready, go through my plants, see if there's any that I'm not happy with to keep because of the cats. Because I want to keep to ones that if they chew them, they're not going to get poorly on. You know, stuff like that. And we'll see. But that's my plan, is just to get my room as sorted out as possible. And then start changing, and then gradually get decorated. And then it'll be back in here, and maybe sort out new furniture, new sofas for sure. Because these have had it really, they're okay, but a bit past it. Once I'm in my bedroom, I can then work on in here and getting it right. And then we'll see. I'm so tired now. I think I'm gonna, end the video. But hopefully I've filled you in on things. And I'll be in touch with another video soon. So thanks for watching. Tatty bye, and catch you later. Ta-ra!